Welcome to The Good Side, a half hour of positive, feel-good stories that'll leave you inspired. And they're told by a team of passionate journalists from local newsrooms all across the country. A pilot proves the sky really is not the limit. Born without arms, she flies to new heights to prove anything is possible. And later, sometimes the right conversation can change your view of the most difficult topics. Meet a certified end-of-life doula who can teach us how to make the most of the time we have on Earth.
And we just talk openly about death. Unafraid, curious, sometimes awkward.
5 years after their dog, Bella, vanished, she turned up more than 1,000 miles from home. This tiny pup's big adventure. How cute. The Good Side starts right now. Hey there, I'm Debra Alfarone. We're going to start with a story that'll wow you on multiple levels. Becoming the world's first licensed armless pilot is incredible all on its own, right? It's just one of several amazing accomplishments achieved by pilot Jessica Cox. The Good Side's Ashley Bowerman shows us how this trailblazer is flying to even greater heights.
Born in Sierra Vista in 1983 without arms due to a rare congenital condition, Jessica Cox refused to be limited by her physical circumstances. From a young age, she learned to use her feet to navigate the world.
It's hard to understand it, but this is my normal, not having arms. So going through life doing things as a kid, from climbing up a slide or swinging on the swings on the playground, I did that without arms. And it never dawned on me as being different.
In adulthood, she has mastered everything from driving a car to graduating with a degree in psychology to getting a black belt in Taekwondo to becoming the world's first licensed armless pilot in 2008. An accomplishment made even more incredible by the fact that Jessica was terrified of flying.
I did not want to lose contact with the ground.
But that all changed when she was offered an opportunity to fly in a small airplane for the first time.
And the moment the wheels, lifted off the ground, I knew there was no turning back.
And when the pilot let Jessica put her feet on the controls,
I felt what it was like to fly a plane. And I knew in that moment that I wanted to do whatever it takes to become the world's first armless pilot.
And despite people doubting she could do it, she proved them wrong.
It was wonderful to be able to show the world that disability doesn't mean inability. Not just my story, but the story of all those who experience disability at some point in their lifetime.
Jessica mastered her skills in this air coupe, but the 80-year-old plane has limitations. The cockpit requires her to sit in an uncomfortable position so her feet can reach the controls, restricting flights to around an hour and a half at a time, making long trips difficult.
I need something that is more practical for achieving the goal of using the airplane as inspiration. Something that we can get around the country easier, something that's more modern, something built to be flown with feet so that I don't get a Charlie horse when I'm flying.
Seeking a solution, Jessica began a mission in 2020 to build the Impossible Airplane, the first aircraft in aviation history designed to be flown entirely without the use of hands. The custom-built RV-10 was created from the start around Jessica's needs, with foot controls, allowing her to sit comfortably.
It allowed me to fly it at ease and for longer periods.
The blue and champagne-colored aircraft is being built in New Jersey with the help of pilot volunteers, but the vision, leadership, and mission behind it all come from Arizona. Jessica's nonprofit, Right Footed Foundation International, will use the aircraft as a national outreach platform, allowing Jessica to speak at schools and events and connect directly with children who were born without arms.
I'll be able to travel around the world, around the country, to reach out to those children who really need to hear the message.
A message that with the right tools, even the sky has no limits.
Now, to follow along with the construction of Jessica's plane or to donate, check out impossibleairplane.com. Jessica plans to fly her plane during the opening ceremonies for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. When it's at its best, social media connects us, makes us feel like we're part of something. Well, the staff at a nursing home in Missouri has turned its residents into stars through the power of TikTok.
They're fun. They keep us busy. Honey, they are a godsend to us. Every one of them.
Social media hasn't even been a thing for most of their lives, but these seniors have embraced it. They perform skits and highlight some of the more unique games at the nursing home, like Whack-a-Staff. Think whack-a-mole, but with people and pool noodles. Of course, this became a TikTok video.
They're put in a situation where they have to compete against each other, and they really go for it. I mean, you could see it was so much fun. You could see it in their eyes.
Now, the videos are fun to make. They also have the added benefit of encouraging exercise and eliminating isolation. They say you can't put a price tag on love, right? But you can put a price tag on engagement rings. A new bride in Florida was out for a day on the water when her $5,000 rock slipped off and plunked deep beneath the waves. The Good Side's Juliana Narvaez shows us how it was found with the help of an intrepid charter boat captain.
My ring went off really fast, faster than normal, and dropped right into the water.
Cassie and her husband Brandon were out on the water checking on their stone crab traps in the Gulf, right at Point of Rocks, when her $5,000 engagement ring fell into the water.
Yeah, honestly, it was tragic. I cried for 4 hours. I immediately jumped in the water with my clothes on, and so did Brandon.
I'm gonna try.
They knew finding the engagement ring would be like finding a needle in a haystack.
Here he goes. So, after the tears kind of faded and I realized I had to get to work, I just posted on social media everywhere.
That's when Captain Joe answered their call for help.
I couldn't just sit there and do nothing, so I ended up giving her a call, and I said, I think I can give you a hand.
I'm still hopeful.
Cassie took to TikTok documenting the search for her lost ring.
It's a little bit scary.
Hours went by and still no sign of it.
We have so much air left.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you so much.
Because we really, at that point, didn't think it was going to come up. Just with the amount of time he spent under, it was almost a couple hours of him searching for it and trying some different areas.
Everyone, Captain Joe.
But just as all hope was starting to fade,
He handed me his flashlight. He was like, hey, can you hold this for me? And he had a sad look on his face. So I grabbed the flashlight, and then he was like, and can you hold this? And he literally handed me my rig, and I just remember just sobbing and holding it really tight.
Recoveries in Sarasota, Florida. We do it.
Cassie and Brandon finally reunited with their precious engagement ring.
We're so happy.
It's like a miracle. Coming up, after he retired, he stumbled upon the perfect job. So what started as a hobby kind of took off. Orders for his handcrafted catios, think patios for cats, come in from all over the world. You're watching The Good Side. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's something we all face, but most don't want to talk about. But I want you to meet a woman who's dedicating her life to helping others look at death differently. You might wonder why we're here at a cemetery talking about the good side, but that's kind of your specialty.
I believe in having curiosity and courage when we talk about death, and that improves our life.
Today's Good Side brings us inside a nearly 200-year-old vault once used to store the dead bodies of U.S. presidents.
I am Laura Lister-Mensch. I am the death doula in residence here at Historic Congressional Cemetery.
Welcome to a final resting place like no other. Historic Congressional Cemetery in the heart of D.C. is a national landmark. More than 70,000 notable and everyday people are buried within its 35 acres, and it's considered the first to have a dedicated death doula.
The greatest thing that I can do here at the cemetery is promote death positivity. And I walk around with people in the cemetery, and we just talk openly about death. Unafraid, curious, sometimes awkward.
Someone who has lost someone and is mourning might hear the words death positivity and say, what are you talking about?
I agree. And I think at first, to hear death positivity could seem even disrespectful. I actually think that death positivity is about living better. Because what are we afraid of? But when we turn that and we look at it as boundaries on our life that make life precious, we can feel better. We can feel more connected to the people we lose instead of rejecting their memory.
Laura does her work in many ways. She holds regular events. One's called a death cafe. She has a few things she always sets out: tea, cookies, and this deck of cards.
The death deck is a way to start conversations. And I recommend it to people, bring it to Thanksgiving. At first people will say, death? Oh, I don't want to do that. But you pull out one of these cards and you start talking and you learn things about the people that you care about, and you start real conversations.
Laura says these are conversations many people are uncomfortable bringing up until it's time or it's too late. The International End-of-Life Doula Association says they've trained more than 8,600 doulas in the 10 years they've been in existence. They guide difficult discussions, provide emotional and spiritual support, give caregivers respite, and help plan advanced care directives and final ceremonies. Back here at the historic Congressional Cemetery, I have a question of my own.
What advice do you give people for living?
Slow down. I think we try to speed through everything. We try to speed through grief. We try to speed through happy moments. We hoard it, but you can't really be present if you're hoarding it.
All the more reason to take a moment and appreciate the good side right now.
Words to live by. Well, next on The Good Side, he's a hitting coach who's legally blind, but when he steps into the batting cage, his vision is clear. And it's become the stuff of legend. You're watching The Good Side. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Good Side. When you truly love what you're doing and you're in the zone, nothing stands in the way of your goal. And that's true for a hitting coach in Nebraska who has this legendary knack for knowing how to bring out the best in all his students. The Good Side's Clayton Collier steps into the batting cage at Blind Guy Hitting.
Just north of Omaha, in the neighborhood of Ponca Hills, you won't find a baseball diamond, but there are endless pearls of wisdom that begin at the driveway.
The smooth, straight pass seldom leads anywhere. You know, goes past hitting, kind of like life's lessons.
Inside this barn-turned-batting cage, a quaint and cluttered love letter to the game. Many of the state's best hitters go to learn from Mark Wetzel.
Nice.
He's a great coach. He knows exactly what he's doing.
It's like he's the best hitting coach I've ever had.
He knows everything about the swing.
I mean, the results speak for themselves.
You would never know.
I'm legally blind. I have macular degeneration of the retina.
Growing up, Mark was obsessed with baseball.
I wanted to be Mickey Mantle and played a lot of ball.
His condition forced him to quit the game when he was just 14.
I think at first I was pretty upset. You know, I couldn't play ball anymore.
But Mark wasn't ready to give up his passion for hitting.
I was looking for something to do, something I could do and be good at. You know, who in the world would ever guessed I would be good at teach you how to hit a moving baseball? But when I found out I could be good at it, then, I really took it and ran with it.
It's turned into a 40-year career.
I should be able to tell when the ball hit the bat.
Spanning from teaching young boys and girls to minor league hitting gigs and brushes with some of the game's greatest, including Albert Pujols and a decades-long friendship with Tony Gwynn.
If you saw me in a grocery store or in a restaurant with my wife, you wouldn't bring your boy here to hit with me.
It is 12:53 p.m.
You know, I can't find my food on my plate sometimes. When I go out in that cage, I see 20/20 as far as I'm concerned.
So how does he do it? Well, Mark has some peripheral vision.
I think he's starting to get it.
But straight ahead is where the real magic happens.
I can see that profile against that wall. I can see any kind of movement, the slightest bit of movement, or excess energy or tightness or weight shift.
A phenomenon you have to see to believe.
People are like, how is that possible? Like, there's no way that he can be as good as another hitting coach if he can't see. So I just kind of explain it to them and just tell them, like, yeah, he can't see it, but he, like, puts the pieces together.
Some might even say he has eyes in the back of his head.
He's looking at the other cage and he tells me what's wrong with my swing. It's insane. But
how does he do that?
No clue. He's always right, but I've no clue.
Connor Gersh is a second-generation student of Mark's. His father, former Nebraska outfielder Andy Gersh, first went to blind guy hitting almost 25 years ago.
Takes me back. It's like time traveling. Even from the drive up, reminds me of driving up here with my dad. For him to overcome his seeing situation and to be able to turn it into something incredible just tells you a lot about him and his ability to persevere.
Mark's walls are littered with memorabilia and motivation. His lessons and his story are about so much more than baseball.
It really shows the saying of, like, don't judge a book by its cover.
Even if it's outside your comfort zone, and even if it may be a little weird, try it and see if it fits for you.
You should at least give everybody a chance because it could be one of the best things that ever happens to you, as it was for me.
Mark met a bump in the road and kept going. Now he's paved the way for thousands of young athletes to see things a little differently.
It's almost a blessing. I don't know. I always thought when it happened, I thought, well, someday I'll win the lottery. So it's going to be a payback here somehow. Well, I think I'm already living it. Doing what I love to do, being around great people, great kids.
Well, they say good vibes are contagious, and that's why a bunch of dads say they're dedicated to raising a hand to help raise spirits at school.
Everybody can high-five a dad, not necessarily their dad, a dad, a dad of some sort to get their day up for the day.
Just watching the change in their face from, oh, I don't want to be here, to, hey, that's cool. Come on, man, let's do it again.
Once a month throughout the school year, a volunteer group called Dads at the Door greets students at Oakdale Elementary School in Brandon, Mississippi. They're there to make sure every student gets a positive start to their day. The dads say it's as much of a highlight for them as it is for the kids. Another way to start the day off right, coffee, of course. A coffee shop in South Carolina draws big crowds open to close. Its talented staff knows how to serve up a good cup. Bloom and Brew Coffee Project is building bright futures for students with special needs in Horry County high schools. That's in the easternmost part of the state. The nonprofit is run by Nick and Bree Spinelli. They own a local coffee shop and realized they could help students craft a career with mobile coffee carts set up at school. Students get to choose which job they want to do each day.
We do an amazing job making the best coffee.
So I can tell that it's something they look forward to and something that gives them a sense of accomplishment when they work together.
Bloom and Brew uses the majority of its proceeds to support special education programs across Horry County. And in case you happen to recognize the name of that coffee-loving family in that last story, here's why.
I'm strong.
I'm strong.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I'm brave.
You are brave. What else?
I'm smart.
Nick and Bree are the parents of Ezra Spinelli. Now, we brought you his inspiring story in our very first episode of The Good Side. Ezra has spina bifida. He skyrocketed to social media fame when his mom caught his joy on camera as he spotted a child in a wheelchair in a Target ad. Ezra spreads hope and happiness with every smile he shares. You're watching The Good Side. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Good Side. Every stray pet has a story, and Bella has been through an incredible journey.
Bella was brought to Winnebago County Animal Services like thousands of pets a year as a stray. The scope of this one is a little bit more large than normal.
And that's not an exaggeration. See, Bella's story started on New Year's Eve in 2020 when she went missing from her home in the suburbs of Houston, Texas. 5 years later, she turned up in Rockford, Illinois, more than 1,000 miles away. Using her microchip, Winnebago County Animal Services was able to find her family. With the help of the nonprofit Care for Pets, they raised enough money to fly Bella home.
Man, it was a very emotional moment for everybody. Even when she first saw me, you could tell that she still recognized me a little bit.
Bella's dad says she's always been really attached to his oldest son. The second she spotted him, she reached out her paw. The shelter says this is a great example of why it's important to get your pet microchipped. Now, from dogs to cats, or make that Catio Bob. That's his name. Retirement wound up being a little busier than planned for him, and he's absolutely okay with that. He built a successful business that gave him his nickname. The Good Side's Joshua Skinner introduces us.
Technically, Athens resident Bob Johnston retired 6 years ago.
I've imagined me just kind of hanging out at home.
The former welder and builder figured to keep busy, he'd construct an animal enclosure every couple of months.
Walking up those stairs, you want it to open this way.
That did not last long.
Next thing I know is like somebody pulled open a floodgate.
Because apparently everyone wants a catio.
A patio for cats.
You can say that again, Pickles. Orders came pouring in for custom catios from around the world. Australia, England, South America. Bob quickly moved into a bigger building.
I go by Catio Bob mostly now.
Each day, he and his assistant Allison create and construct.
We don't use any sort of software or anything. It's all hand-drawn.
It's like a screened-in porch on steroids.
This is the typical 6x8 Catio Bob enclosure, complete with plenty of space for man and beast, cat not included. But some orders are much more extravagant than this. Today's project is a palatial enclosure, a 15x8 catio with an attached building and tunnels for a family in South Carolina.
It's a very big project.
This is a nationwide trend. Cats are the world's most popular pet, and in 2024, the catio industry was $325 million. That's expected to double by 2033. But catios aren't cheap. Catio Bob's traditional 6x8 goes for about $4 grand. Some of them push north of $15,000, especially if you want a tunnel through your garage or give your cat a gazebo. For Catio Bob, it's a labor of love.
I have 14 personally.
What?
14, yeah.
Coming out of retirement for the perfect job.
I can't stop laughing. Don't get any ideas, boys. I think that is it for us, and I hope you smiled this half hour. The Good Side, real stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us that even in the tough times, there's always another side, the good side. See you back here next week, and have a great day.